right of yeah, right. And he sat down. And I remember listening to him.
Welcome back to New Zealand.
Lovely.
Capacity as the Sodelpa party leader. Let's start from the beginning. Why did you go back into politics?
I was asked by the party president to be available for selection. In fact, he asked me to apply. So I applied and was selected through the selection process. And then very quickly got to know about the party. Although I applied to be a candidate in 2014, I was successful in the selection process, and then there was some internal objection to my appearing among the clean candidates who are not involved in the coup, so I stepped down.
Yeah. And how are you finding it so far since being the party leader, given your history with Fiji in the past?
Yes, I'm enjoying it. The longer I have been, the more I have seen about what I have done and what still has to be done.
And what would you say needs to be done? What is the state of Fiji at the moment?
At the moment, we have an uneasy environment of coexistence. Our government versus the rest relationship, more than what was seen as race-based difficulties in our interactions. Now it's more government and those not in government. And so it means that the Fijians in government and their race or their ethnic background is not necessarily different from those that are not in government, but because of the performance of the government and emphasis in areas that affect one ethnic group or one social group more than the others, or erode those of another ethnic group. They bring out or they accentuate the difference between the government group and the non-government groups. So that's the uneasy feeling we have.
Let's talk about what Sodelpa brings to the election this year.
We bring in leadership that listens, something we have missed since 2006. It has been an authoritarian regime. It was before the election, and it has given out very sharply the image of an elected dictatorial regime or government. The freedom of expression is felt outside in the press and public, as well as within our debate chamber, the assembly of the people, which is our parliament. They restrict the time for contribution from the opposition. So our legislations are enacted without proper debate and consultation. So leadership that listens bring in the change, the much needed change that Fiji is looking for. We also want to bring in compassionate leadership, leadership that is concerned about how people live and what they feel. This government has done a lot of good for the people in the sense that they have handed out a lot of the needs. They have made it easier for people to travel, for students to go by bus. They have given some free food for first graders in school. They have continued I emphasize the term continued, the word continued, the accessibility of free education, because that was started during our time, and there was free and partly free education before my time of leadership. So it's nothing they can claim. But Sodelpa would like to bring in compassionate leadership. And we have seen more and more of our people leave seeking refuge in other countries, being granted refugee status, because they have been wronged. What we would like to do is to do what is right with malice towards none. And a lot of the people who have come away from Fiji have felt malice targeted at them. So it's not something objective, not something just purely legal. There have been very, very sharp feelings of malice, being subjected to malice. So that's why they come away.
How would you describe your relationship with Bainimarama? Because you know them.
I was his commander. He served under me. He was in charge of the Navy. And I have always maintained that relationship. He was appointed during my term as Prime Minister to be commander of the RFMF on the recommendation of the then commander. He was appointed by the then Minister of Home Affairs in my government, according to Cap 81 of the laws of Fiji. So that is my relationship with him. When he says something that's probably unpalatable for me, not very acceptable to my ears, I accept it as something coming from someone my junior.
I wonder if you would like that. No. If you're running, you've definitely decided that you're running in this election.
Yes.
And if you become Prime Minister,
Yes.
what will you do differently?
I will do those things. We will emphasize the beauty of democracy, freedom of the press, freedom of expression, freedom of association. We will be very sympathetic to our workers. We want to increase the minimum basic wage. We would like to make education, quality education, accessible to all, which means upgrading and helping and just doing more for the rural schools. I'm from a rural area, a very remote village, and I know the difference. When they now have introduced the topper scheme in the allocation of scholarships, it affects us, not because we lack the gray matter to be able to score good marks, but because of the quality of our preparation to get up to that level where they eliminate according to academic achievements. So a young boy in the village doesn't go to kindergarten until they're 5. And when they go to kindergarten, it's just like babysitting. Whereas those in the urban areas they have access to computers, television, newspaper news, and radio news. Whereas in the village, it's just marbles and not proper marble, but dilo fruit that we play marbles with. So when you get to year 12, year 13, the difference is accentuated because of the schools and the facilities and the teachers that are prepared to come to the rural areas and those that stay in the comfort of the urban areas.
If I could bring up the issue of the Itauke and the Indian Fijians, what is the relationship like now? I know that you're for evolving and working together. Is that still the same, or would you be pushing more Itauke?
Well, we will not pushing. We will not be pushing, but I would like to return it to its place in the acknowledgement in the normal everyday affairs of Fiji. We have the Toke and we have the non-Toke societies, and the good thing about it is that in Toke culture, like in Tongan culture, and most Pacific cultures, the non-Toke or Hulangi have priority when it comes to the home. We embrace them because we believe that they are sent to us by God. Hulangi means originating in heaven. So we do not we cannot afford to turn our backs on them and push them aside. And I'm always reminded my Tauke, non-Tauke relationship by the parable in Matthew 25. You know, the king will come back and he will separate us, some to his right and some to his left, and to the right he will say, you are blessed by my Father, and to his kingdom, and say, what have we done? And all he says to them, when I was a stranger, you took me in. I was hungry, you gave me food, etc., etc. So the Tauke is guided by that. Even before Christianity came, we embrace them. If they don't offend us, we don't eat them.
Like the old days, eh?
Yeah, now we embrace them, and they become a lot of the warriors, even some of the chiefs in some of the tribes were not members of the tribe. They were embraced, and they showed up that they had prowess in battles, so they were embraced and became chiefs. And Fiji is where we are because we have embraced the Wulang. In 1874, on this day, 14th of May, the first indentured laborers landed in Fiji. And the 14th of May, 1987 was the first coup. The 14th of May, 1948, the year I was born, was the Israeli declaration of Israel as a state. So a lot of things happened. They ruffled the feathers of those living in Palestine at the time. The chiefs in Fiji didn't know what was going on, and they were quickly reminded that 1874 leader session contains those three conditions. We want to see Fiji for the promotion of civilization, Christianity, and trade. And for trade, we didn't know anything. We bartered at the time. So we needed people to come in and work what we could offer to international trade, and that was sugar. And the best, at the time, the British government thought that the best group to come and work the sugar industry were the indentured laborers from India.
Gosh, the history of Fiji. Can we talk about the party? You mentioned earlier that there was a bit of opposition with you re-entering the Sodelpa. How is the relationship now? Would you stand with Rotemumu and the rest of the candidates?
Yes, I'm very impressed with the statesman or state lady, it is such a she allowed herself to be interviewed. She applied, she followed all the procedures to be a candidate. And I will be standing with her. I think in the polls today or yesterday, she was rated higher than my grading, but that doesn't matter. We are working together for one party. The mischief that the newspaper or the pollster is doing in Fiji is that they are looking at two from one party and one from each of the other parties. So when they talk about leader, they're talking about leaders as far as Sodelpa is concerned. So it's not an objective poll, it's a very subjective one aimed at driving a wedge between the two, the leader of the opposition and the party leader of Sodelpa.
And just finally, if you're re-elected, what are some of the main things that you'll focus on as Prime Minister?
I will continue to focus on the economy. We have a very high debt level at the moment, and the proper use of our resources. We have borrowed so much, and the effect of the borrowing has not really been felt. We have seen, but they are like papering over cracks. The cracks appear very quickly because you just applied paper over it. And our tar ceiling needs to be audited, whether the material we're using and the systems we're using are in fact good. Because we pay for the, we will have to pay for the debt that we have. And, but what we have bought with the money we have borrowed is not consistent. We borrowed too much and developed so little.
And you must be disappointed that there's no election date that's been set. Do you know why it's taken so long? Or?
It is, I think they're testing the waters to see if they are ready and see the effect of delaying or bringing it up early. If they think they are gaining support, they will delay it to gain more support. If they think they're eroding, their support is eroding, they will have it early to cut the damages. So our constitution needs to be revised reviewed in that area. A lot of the civilized civilizations have a set day. We will have election every 4 years on the second Saturday every whatever month, and but we don't have that.
And you're campaigning already?
We're not allowed to campaign yet. We will only campaign after the writ of election is issued. At the moment, we're just making people aware of what we offer. That is different.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Vina.
Good night.
Thank you.
Wow.
That's it.
You can tell them off. He worked for Mr. Jerry, Prime Minister Jerry, and then Prime Minister Tagata, and now he works with me in the party.
Oh, wow.
He never worked with me as Prime Minister, but he will.
Yeah.